Shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahweh, and welcome to our midweek Bible study. This week we're going to be continuing our study in Bemidbar, which is Numbers, and we'll be doing chapters 19, 20, and 21. So go ahead and grab your Bibles and get all comfy, get yourself something to drink, and we'll get started tonight, all right? Hope everybody's having a good week so far. We're halfway through, gang. Getting ready to slide into Shabbat. Isn't that awesome? It is, huh? Take a little drink of my coffee and we'll get started. After dinner coffee. All right. This is going to be quite a study tonight, gang. So, let's get ready, get set, and let's go. All right. Bemidbar, which is Numbers, chapter 19. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, This is a law of the Torah, which Yahweh has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, that they bring you a red heifer, a perfect one, in which there is no blemish, and on which a yoke has never come. All right, we had a little chat in one of our prior studies about this red heifer thing, about how they're getting ready to build the third temple. And they've got this red heifer that they sacrificed, and let's find out what Yahweh says to do with a red heifer. And it does not mention anything about it having different colored hairs. It just says a red heifer. Okay? So let's continue on. Verse 3. And you shall give it to Eleazar, the priest, and he shall bring it outside the camp, and shall slay it before him. And Eleazar the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, and sprinkle some of its blood 7 times toward the front of the tent of appointment. And the heifer shall be burned before his eyes. He burns its hide, and its flesh, and its blood, and its dung, so the whole thing. There's no separating it, there's no quartering it, there's no burning of any special parts of it, the whole thing. Verse 6, And the priest shall take cedar wood, and hyssop, and scarlet, and throw them into the midst of the fire, burning the heifer. The priest shall then wash his garments, and shall bathe his body in water, and afterward come into the camp. But the priest is unclean until evening. Okay? Let's go back here for a minute. Not only are they burning the red heifer, but they're burning cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet. Now, if you guys remember back from our Leviticus study, we talked about the making of soap to cleanse, to wash things with, okay? So hyssop is a disinfectant, scarlet's a disinfectant, the cedar wood gives it some girth, so that way they can collect up the ashes and turn it into soap. Okay, let's continue. Verse 8, And he who is burning it washes his garments in water, and shall bathe his body in water, and is unclean until evening. So there's 2 priests that are doing this. You've got one that slaughters the red heifer, and the other one who's burning the red heifer. Verse 9, And a clean man shall gather up the ashes of the heifer. So there's another guy involved. And shall place them outside the camp in a clean place. And they shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel, for the water for uncleanness. It is for cleansing from sin. So see, they're making soap out of it. You take if you've got a heifer that hasn't ever had a yoke on its neck, then it's never done any work. That's a nice fat heifer. It hasn't built any muscle. It's just a big fat heifer. So there's plenty of fat to render down into the ash to make soap. See how all that works? Pretty neat, huh? Verse 10, and he who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his garments, and is unclean until evening. And it shall be a law forever to the children of Israel, and to the stranger who sojourns in their midst. He who touches the dead of any human being is unclean for 7 days. He is to cleanse himself with the water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he is clean. But if he does not cleanse himself on the 3rd day, then on the 7th day he is not clean. So see, they're using this soap, like if you got to bury somebody, anybody who touches the body's got to use this soap to clean themselves, because it is set apart. Alright, verse 13. Anyone who touches the dead of a human being and does not cleanse himself defiles the dwelling place of Yahweh, and that being shall be cut off from Yisrael. He is unclean, for the water for uncleanness was not sprinkled on him. His uncleanness is still upon him. He hasn't been cleansed yet. It's disinfectant, gang. Think about it. When you're touching dead things have bacteria. They have nasty disease on them and stuff like that. So this is Yah's way of keeping everything nice and clean and disinfected. It just makes sense. Verse 14. This is the Torah when a man dies in a tent. All who come into the tent and all who are in the tent are unclean for 7 days. And every open vessel which has no cover fastened on it is unclean. Anyone in the open field who touches someone slain by a sword, or who has died, or a bone of a man, or a burial site, is unclean for 7 days. Okay, and this has to do with the water libation. Okay, we talked about the water libation, how they do the water libation ceremony, where after they butcher the animal for sacrifice, they have one side that's got water, the other side's got blood. It's a water libation thing, okay? It's for the cleansing of sin. Verse 17, and for the unclean being they shall take some of the ashes of the heifer burnt for cleansing from sin, and running water shall be put on them in a vessel. Okay, so running water, it has to be from a spring or a creek or something like that, so that it's running, it's flowing, it's not just stagnant water. Okay, and we're going to do a reference, we're going to do a flippy flip, John 7:37. So go ahead and flip back to John. John 7, verse 37. Okay, here we go. And on the last day, the great day of the festival. What festival? Sukkot. Yehoshua stood and cried out, saying, if anyone thirsts, let him come near to me, and let him who believes in me drink. As the scepter said, out of his innermost shall flowing rivers of living water. Okay? And this he said concerning the Spirit, which those believing in him were about to receive, for the set-apart Spirit was not yet given, because Yehoshua was not yet esteemed. Alright? It's a water libation ceremony. Living water. One more flip. We're going to go John 19, verse 29. Okay, so chapter 19 in John, verse 29. Okay. This has to do with the crucifixion. Alright, this is what we talked about before. A bowl of sour wine stood there, and they filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on hyssop, and held it to his mouth. So when Yehoshua took the sour wine, he said, "It has been accomplished," and bowed his head. He gave up his spirit. Therefore, since it was the preparation day, the day before the Sabbath, because remember, they had the Last Supper on Passover, and then the next day was a day of preparation for the high Sabbath, starting of unleavened bread. Unleavened bread started the day after Passover. They had a preparation day for the Sabbath because it's a high holy day because of the unleavened bread. Okay? 31. Therefore, since it was the preparation day, that the body should not remain on the stake on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a high one, the Yehudim, the Jews, asked Pilate to have their legs broken, and that they be taken away. Therefore the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first, and of the other who was impaled with him. But when they came to Yehoshua, and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Okay? So, we're going to talk about that real quick because that has to do with the Passover. Alright? And that's Exodus 12:21. So, let's go ahead and flip over to Exodus 12:21. Okay? Exodus chapter 12, verse 21. And Moshe called for all the elders of Israel, and said to them, Go out, and take lambs for yourself according to your clans, and slay the Pesach. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintels and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning. And Yahweh passed on to smite the Mitzraites, and shall see the blood on the lintels and on the two doorposts. And Yahweh shall pass over the door, and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. Okay? So, that explains that you're not supposed to break any of the bones. Okay? Got it? Alright then. Let's go ahead and we'll get back to 19. Verse 18, chapter 19, verse 18. And a clean man shall take hyssop, and dip it in water, and shall sprinkle it on the tent, and on all the vessels, and on the beings who were there, or on the one who touched a bone, or the slain, or the dead, or a burial site. And the clean one shall sprinkle the unclean on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day. And on the 7th day he shall cleanse himself, and shall wash his garments, and bathe in water, and shall be clean in the evening. But the man who is unclean, and does not cleanse himself, that being shall be cut off from among the assembly, because he has defiled the set-apart place of Yahweh. Water for uncleanness has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. He hasn't been disinfected. Okay, so he's still got the crud all over him, and if it turns into a disease, it's going to spread in the camp. So if he didn't clean himself, out. Verse 21, it shall be a law for them forever. And the one who sprinkles the water for uncleanness washes his garments, and the one who touches the water for uncleanness is unclean until evening. And whatever the unclean being touches is unclean, and the being who touches it is unclean until evening. Okay, got that? Chapter 20. And the children of Israel, all the congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first new moon, and the people stayed in Kadesh, and Miriam died there, and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled against Moshe and against Aaron. Okay, now we talked about this before too. Miriam, her name means water. Okay? And if she died when they got to this place, then there's no water. There's no Miriam. That's interesting, isn't it? Yep, Yah's got away with everything. Alright, verse 3, and the people contended with Moshe and spoke, saying, if only we had died when our brothers died before Yahweh. Okay, that has to do with the sons of Korah. Remember the rebellion? Yeah, swallowed up into the sand. So now they're complaining, oh, if we were just killed with all of them, then we wouldn't have to deal with all of this. Verse 4, why have you brought up the assembly of Yahweh into this wilderness, that we and our livestock shall die here? We're complaining again. And why have you brought us up out of Mitzrayim, to bring us to this evil place, not a place of grain, or figs, or vines, or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink? Then Moshe and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tent of appointment, and they fell on their faces, and the esteem of Yahweh appeared to them. Alright, think about this for a minute. Moshe's been dealing with all of these complaining people, and now his sister passed. And it doesn't talk about anybody having any grieving. It doesn't talk about there being any kind of a special ceremony or anything for Miriam. It was just a day, let's go on with it, okay? Kind of interesting. So you got to understand, Moshe being a man, he's dealing with all of these different emotions that are going on inside of him. So instead of arguing with these people, him and Aaron just turned away, went back to the tent of appointment, and fell on their faces before Yahweh to ask him what to do. Verse 7, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and your brother Aaron, and you shall speak to the rock before their eyes, and it shall give its water, and you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their livestock. Okay, speak it. He's supposed to take the rod and speak to the rock. Give them water. Yahweh says, give them water. Verse 9, and Moshe took the rod from before Yahweh, as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron assembled the assembly before the rock. And he said to them, hear now, you rebels. Rebels, rebellious. Shall we bring water for you out of this rock? Shall we bring water for you out of this rock? We, plural. Then Moshe lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and much water came out, and the congregation and their livestock drank. He didn't do what Yah said. He didn't do what he said. In his human flesh, he was all upset and twisted up about Miriam and mad at the congregation, and he took the rod and smacked the rock twice without allowing Yahweh to glorify himself. Okay? So it didn't appear as though Yahweh did it. It appeared that Moshe did it. Oof. Bad choice. Verse 12, but Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, because you did not believe me, to set me apart in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore, you do not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. These were the waters of Meribah, because the children of Israel contended with Yahweh, and he was set apart among them. And Moshe sent messengers from Kadesh to the sovereign of Edom. Okay? Who's Edom? Edom's Esau. Remember all the fighting between Esau and Jacob? Yeah, and these are Esau's descendants. Okay, so get ready for this. This is what your brother Israel said. You know all the hardship that has befallen us, that our father went down to Mitzrayim, and we dwelt in Mitzrayim a long time, and the Mitzrayites did evil to us and our fathers. And we cried out to Yahweh, and he heard our voice and sent the messenger, capital M, messenger, Yehoshua, and brought us up out of Mitzrayim. And see, we are in Kadesh, a city on the edge of your border. Please let us pass over through your land. We shall not pass over through fields or vineyards, nor drink water from wells. We shall go along the sovereign's highway, the king's highway. We shall not turn aside, right or left, until we have passed over your border. But Edom said to him, You do not pass over through me, lest I come out against you with the sword. So Edom holds a grudge against the children of Israel. Verse 19, And the children of Israel said to him, We shall certainly go by the highway, and if I or my livestock drink any of your water, then I shall pay for it. Let me only pass over on foot, without a word. But he said, You do not pass over. And Edom came out against them with many men, and with a strong hand. So when Edom refused to let Yisrael pass over through his border, Yisrael turned away from him. And the children of Israel, all the company, departed from Kadesh, and came to Mount Hor. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in Mount Hor, near the border of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron is to be gathered to his people, for he is not to enter the land which I have given to the children of Israel, because you rebelled against my mouth at the water of Meribah. So because of what Moshe and Aaron did, in smacking the rock, they didn't obey, so now Aaron is going to die. He's going to be gathered to his people. Okay? Verse 25, Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, for Aaron is to be gathered to his people, and die there. And Moshe did as Yahweh commanded, and they went up to Mount Hor before the eyes of all the congregation. And Moshe stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there on the top of the mountain. And Moshe and Eleazar came down from the mountain. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, all the house of Israel wept for Aaron 30 days. They wept for Aaron, but there was nothing for Miriam. If anybody can find any information on that, or if you know anything more about that, please put it down in the comments and share it with everybody so that we might get an idea of why they did not cry for Miriam, but they wept for Aaron. Chapter 21. And the sovereign of Arad, the Canaanite, who dwelt in the south, heard that Israel was coming on the way to Atharim, and he fought against Israel, and took some of them captive. Then Israel made a vow to Yahweh, and said, If you deliver this people into my hand indeed, then I shall put their cities under the ban, which means they're going to destroy them. I think the KJV says destroy, utterly destroy. Verse 3, And Yahweh listened to the voice of Israel, and gave up the Canaanites, and they put them and their cities under the ban. So the name of that place was called Hormah. And they departed from Mount Hor by the way of the Sea of Reeds, to go around the land of Edom. But the being of the people grew impatient because of the way. And the people spoke against Elohim and against Moshe. Why have you brought us up out of Mitzrayim to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and our beings loathe this light bread. More complaining, and they're whining about the manna. Verse 6. And Yahweh sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the people of Israel died. Judgment. Verse 7. Then the people came to Moshe and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against Yahweh and against you. Pray to Yahweh to take away the serpents from us. So Moshe prayed on behalf of the people. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Make a fiery serpent, and set it on a pole, and it shall be that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, shall live. Now this is not an idol, okay? This is something different. But we're going to go and check this out real quick. Let's read this first and then we'll go check it out, okay? So Moshe made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole, and it came to be, if a serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived. Okay, so let's duck out of here real quick and we'll go one book over to Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 15. So Deuteronomy chapter 8, it's not very far away. If my fingers will work, one page at a time. Alright, chapter 8, verse 15. Okay. Who led you through that great and awesome wilderness, fiery serpents and scorpions and thirst, where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, in order to humble you and to try you, to do you good in the end. Okay, so we talk about the fiery serpent there. And then we got one more flippy flip, which is John chapter 3, verse 14. Okay, so come on over to John. Too far. John chapter 3, verse 14. And Moshe lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. Even so, the son of Adam has to be lifted up. Okay? So that whoever is believing in him should not perish, but possess everlasting life. Alright? So, gives you kind of an idea about the serpent thing. If you know any more about it, put it down in the comments. Share it with everybody. Verse 10, chapter 21, verse 10. And the children of Israel set out and camped in Oboth. And they departed from Oboth and camped at Ayaha-Abarim in the wilderness, which is east of Moab, toward sunrise. From there they set out and camped at the Wadi Zered. From there they set out and camped on the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that extends from the border of the Amorites. For the Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore it is said in the book of the battles of Yahweh. I'm not sure what the book of the battles of Yahweh is. I tried to find out information about it, and I have no idea. The only thing that I could figure is that maybe the book of Joshua. I don't know. because Joshua, there was a lot of battles there. So I don't know if that's it, or if there is a lost book that's called the Book of the Battles of Yahweh. I don't know. Any ideas? Down in the comments. Verse 14, it is said in the book of the battle of Yahweh, Waheb, in Sarpah, the Wadi Arnon, and the slope of the wadi that turns aside to the dwelling of Ar, and lies on the border of Moab, and from there on to Beer, which is the well where Yahweh said to Moshe, gather the people and let me give them water. Yisrael then sang this song, spring up, O well, sing to it. A well the leaders sank, which the nobles of the people dug with their staves, by the word of the inscriber. Then from the wilderness on to Mattanah, from Mattanah to Nahalel, from Nahalel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth, in the valley that is in the country of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looks down on the wasteland. And Yisrael sent messengers to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through your land. We shall not turn off into the fields or the vineyards, but we shall not drink water from wells, but go by the sovereign's highway, the king's highway, until we have passed over your border. But Sihon would not allow Israel to pass through his border. So Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Yisrael in the wilderness. And he came to Yahatz and fought against Yisrael. And Yisrael struck him with the edge of the sword and took possession of his land from the Arnon to the Yabak, as far as the children of Ammon. For the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And Yisrael took all these cities, and Yisrael dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all its villages. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the sovereign of the Amorites, who had fought against the former sovereign of Moab, and had taken all his land from his hand as far as Arnon. That is why these who speak in Proverbs say, come to Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and established. For fire went out from Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It consumed Ar of Moab, the masters of the heights of Arnon. Woe to you, Moab! You have perished, O people of Chemosh. You have given his sons as fugitives, and his daughters into captivity, to Sihon, the sovereign of the Amorites. Looks like they learned how to fight a little bit, huh? They went and kicked their butts. Verse 30, then we shot them. Heshbon has perished as far as Dibon, and we laid waste as far as Nophah, which reaches to Medeba. So Yisrael dwelt in the land of the Amorites. And Moshe sent to spy out Yazer, and they took its villages and drove out the Amorites who were there, and turned and went up by the way to Bashan. And Og, sovereign of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And Yahweh said to Moshe, do not fear him, for I have given him into your hand with all his people and his land, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwell in Heshbon. And they struck him and his sons and all his people, until no remnant was left to him, and they took possession of his land. All right? Og. Who's Og? Og's a giant. Okay, from what I found, he was the last of the Rephaim, the last of the giants, okay? Numbers 13:33. So let's go to 13:33. If my fingers will help me with this. 13:33. And we saw there the Nephilim, sons of Anak, of the Nephilim, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes. So see, there was still giants running around there. And according to this, Og was one of them, okay? Deuteronomy 3:11, and then we're done for the night, okay? Deuteronomy 3:11. Okay, got it? For only Og, sovereign of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaites. See, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. It is not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon. 9 cubits it is in length, and 4 cubits its width, according to the cubit of a man. What's a cubit? 18 inches. So this was like 13.5 feet long and like 6 feet wide. Do the math on it. I just did it in my head. Okay, so that gives you an idea how big Og was. Og was a big dude. But the children of Israel swacked him and all of his people and all of his sons and everyone. So now they got a couple of victories under their belt. It's pretty cool, huh? All right, and that's it for tonight's study. There's a lot of information in there, huh, gang? I know, a lot of flippy flips. But the flippy flips help to explain what we're reading there. Trying to help everybody understand things better. And if we got to do a couple of flippy flips here and there to help us all understand it better, that's good. That's good. That way we have a complete understanding, gaining wisdom and knowledge. That's what we need, gang. That's what we need. And if anybody knows the questions that I asked, go ahead and throw them down in the comments. We'll see if we can figure out more things to learn. Okay? Sounds good. All right, gang. This has been a great study, and I hope y'all are enjoying it, and I hope y'all are learning so that we know more about our Elohim. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But that's all I got for tonight. Tomorrow, we will be doing our next study in the extra canonicals in the book of Yasher. So stay tuned for that. And then our next Bible study will be on Shabbat. All right? Awesome. Hey, y'all have an awesome rest of your week. May Yah bless each and every one of you. And we'll see you soon. All right? All right. Shalom.